What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for tuning in for another fantastic video. Today, we're going to be looking at Hyliion. Again, this stock has been going cratering down, getting a lot of pings, a lot of notifications of like when to buy, when to da. I'll post and link this article down in the description below to kind of help understand on what Mr. Jim Cramer thinks. And I think it has a great story, but it's going to take time to play out. And just doing a little bit of research and just watching other various articles and especially reading a lot. There's a lot of FOMO, folks. If you're just scrolling here through the YouTube, of just everyone saying Hyliion crash, talking about where it could be, giving its price target. It's at a holding pattern. Some huge updates coming out. Is why is it still crashing? When's the bottom going to happen? Is Hyliion a buy? All this stuff. Like I understand that gets your attention, that you want to jump out and start buying some Hyliion. Is it a fraud? Is it blowing up? Is the options going up? What are the options saying? There's so many different things on when to buy Hyliion. That being said, this is definitely going to be a very fluctual chart, and the lack of a better words, on the crazy amount of movements that we're seeing just in the charts. And normally when we see these SPACs really go through, they are very highly, lack of better words, pumped up, and they can really just skyrocket. And then once the deal goes through, the people made their 3, 4, 5, even 10x in some options trades, and they just get out. And then that's where you see the stock price fall. You don't have the quote unquote true believers. You just have the people who played the upward trend and let the people who thought they were investing at a good price at 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 are now just holding the bag with nothing in it, and they're looking in it like WTF, what do I do now? So that being said, it's going to be a very interesting fact in that sense. With Hyliion, I'm glad it has a real product. It is trying to combat on cutting the emissions and, of course, fuel usage for the trucking industry, which that's a great checkpoint there. So kudos for them on that. But it's going to be a long ride, in the sense of you better buckle up, and you're going to be able to see some potential movements in the stock in the next coming months. I think, again, it's going to be very difficult to call a bottom. I don't think anyone can call a bottom, because if they do, they're imbeciles. Let's lack of better words. You cannot, no one in this God's green earth knows on where the stock will be going, or what they could tell in the future, because again, no one has that crystal ball yet. So that being said, let's go ahead and just flippy floppy over to the charts. So again, this started out as a SPAC. So a SPAC, again, special purpose acquisition company. I forget the name of the company, with a T, bought Hyliion, merged it, blah, 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 saying that they're not going to need any more cash to be able to complete the mission. Of course, that went from, again, that normal SPAC price around 10 bucks all the way up to around $34, then came right back down through the 21 EMA, held the 50-day and 34 EMA on the charts, then again had that second run up with the second wave of the news hitting that cycle, and then we saw it spike up here on 58. So the interesting point, so if we do a Fibonacci retracement from this swing high to this swing low, so people kind of criticize the Fibonacci retracements. The Fibonacci retracements basically help dictate some emotional selling, and these price targets are seen throughout nature sequences on where potentially people can be getting in and out, and some resistance. This is not a completely like a witch rubbing her crystal ball and telling you exactly when to get in and out. But we can see here on multiple different indicators on the charts that we were getting some very high levels above 45. You can see that again with huge volume coming in. You see the RSI band up here hitting that red, basically signaling some overbought. Normally, that in the short term, that will come down slightly, but with that really just kind of just holding sideways, and then the deal finally going through, then you see that huge drop going off here, because we had initial targets. If it did break this level here, we were talking about 60 bucks, and again, it hit around $58 there. So again, it could have going higher, but again, we're seeing other signs with topping of the volumes on oscillator and RSI are usually a sign of potential slowing down or maybe just kind of just trading sideways. And again, we saw that trading sideways, and then we had that squeeze setting up here, which again is indicates a very tight contraction of the stock. That doesn't mean it's going to be going higher or lower, but then we saw the 5 and 8 moving averages, which is the white and purple line, cross through the yellow line here and then continue to go lower, and we're still seeing that bleed come in today. We are trying to hold potentially the 200 EMA here, which is around $23 to $22. And if you read the article, like I posted in the link below, Jim Cramer had a price target around $20 to potentially start buying. That doesn't mean take all your money out of your bank account, take everything out of the savings, get everything out of your IRA, and just throw it into Hyliion. This is a very speculative play. This is, again, a company that does have a product. It's not kind of what Nicola, but that is definitely has something worthwhile. But again, kind of associating a price to that target is going to be very difficult. As of right now, if you look at this more of a psychologic experiment, you're having all these people think they're going to make 10x their money, and then it doesn't happen when they're buying at 35, 40, and then they're just trying to get out at break even. That's what you're really seeing, that heavy selling. It doesn't have to be a short report. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It just takes a small handful of just naysayers or just people just want to try to run to the door. And again, it's just like the Black Friday example where everyone's just trying to run to the door. Again, the door is a normal 36 inches or whatever. Again, if it's a department store, it's a little bit bigger, maybe like 60 inches, and you can only fit 2 or 3 people at one time through that door. And that's exactly what you're seeing here, is just all these people just trying to squeeze through that door to try to get a little bit of that profit out that they initially had in the stock. Majority of them probably taking a loss because, again, a lot of them, you can see a lot of volume being bought up around that 34 and even around a plus 40 there. On the way down, again, it was a pretty fast ride up, trade sideways, and then a very fast way down. Again, as fast as it went up, it came down substantially faster. And again, those are very large red candles. You see, again, the 5 and 8 moving averages are still aggressively pointing to the ground. We're not seeing that nice curving pattern kind of creating a cup, that as we call it in some technical forms. We want to see that potentially hold a base. Hold the base. What does a hold the base mean? That's basically what you're looking for in this area here. A very tight, concise pattern here that holds for at least 2 weeks, honestly. 2 weeks is a wonderful thing to see, a very tight pattern. Because again, we held here for 2 patterns, but then we start getting some very negative news. People start running to that door like we talked about. We see the 5 and 8 cross through the 21, really aggressively through the 34, and no signs of slowing down because these large red candles. It tried to bounce a couple times. It bounced off that parabolic SAR dot. That's basically would have been your chance to potentially get out on that day there. If you were a little bit slow on the trigger, if you didn't have a stop loss or a trailing stop on your stock going on the way up. Again, I'm not trying to be Mr. Hindsight 2020 here. This is just giving examples and educating folks on what can happen with these very fast-driven momentum stocks. This happens all the time in hundreds of stocks in a given week. But again, Hyliion was been one in the news, of course, thanks to Nikola Motors. It's kind of got a little bit of negative spin on it, even though it has a product. It's actually doing things and it's making money, and it's actually not just doing sending out fake news in a sense. That being said, we're seeing that pattern continue going down, looking for some initial hold around $23. We have flushed out quite a bit of people here. Initially, I think, again, I have to agree with Mr. Jim Cramer that we can easily break through 20. It even head potentially to those levels. Because again, the TTM squeeze is still showing heavy red momentum. The volume zone oscillator is at a pretty oversold level, but the RSI on the daily side has not signaled anything there yet. On the weekly side, it's a very much crazy mess here. There isn't any projections. If I go to Tastyworks to see what they're doing for the next earnings. So again, Tastyworks is what I use for trading, options, stock, whatever. So it looks like it has earnings maybe November 5th. I don't know why that's not showing up here. Nope. So it has it, Tastyworks has it on November 5th. So here, November 5th, again, we can see on how that overall will make its way through there. Again, November 5th is not too far away, about two and a half weeks. So let's see on how the overall stock reacts from that. I know I'm going to probably get a lot of hate from folks on being true believers in Hyliion. Like, again, I think it, like, agree with Jim, like it has a great story, but you got to be patient to wait to buy. Because again, the folks who bought at 50 are really feeling some pain. Most likely they're out of it. This overall downward trend is going to be difficult just to buy the dip, bro. And looking for this potentially to bottom around $20, potentially even lower. So we can look at some of those projections as well, looking at some of those Fibonacci retracements going through here. So it's initially trying to hold that 1272 extension around $22.24. So that's its initial level. But if that breaks, we're looking for potentially 20. And even from 20, we're maybe even looking at 13. I know it seems the folks who are watching this who are hoping that I say buy Hyliion now, I can't because it's very downtrending. It needs to create that base for me to be able to potentially buy in. Again, I don't want to touch this with a 37-foot pole yet. I do believe in the story. Is it the next Tesla? I don't know. I think people who are saying that are a little bit showing their cards and really just hoping and praying that things show up like a Tesla. But if you really want it to be a Tesla, you're gonna have to hold this for an extension, really long time. Because if you flip on to Tesla, those bears were over Tesla so many times. So if you go on a monthly chart of Tesla, Tesla did next to nothing for years and years. Again, that stock was at $6 for many years. Let's go here. What was this? 11, 12, 13. For basically, it was in a very tight range for like 3 years. So before it really proved itself, because again, that run up for Hyliion was great, and it's got its word out there. It's got its name, because brand. It's got it engraved in people's brains. But this whole dump right here hurts, and that stings for a little bit. That stings for quite some time, more than the good news that it had. So it has to kind of prove to the naysayers to really get up and out of that range there. So that being said, guys, I hope this was educational. If you have or have not already, please hit that thumbs up. If you don't like the content, you know how to hit thumbs down and go leave and go find someone else that will preach and pray to you about what stocks to buy there. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace!